Night, a frozen forest. Wind howls through the trees like a warning. In the distance, a spotlight cuts across the darkness. Dogs bark, a siren wails, and through the snow, a woman runs. Her coat is torn, her hands bleed from the cold, but she doesn't stop. Not for the pain, not for the fear. Every step is a gamble between life and death. Behind her, shouts echo in another language. Halt! Stop or we fire! She doesn't turn. She's almost at the river, the border. On the other side lies freedom. For a brief second, she looks up at the black sky and whispers something only the snow can hear. Then she jumps. Fade to black. Narrator. During the height of the Cold War, the world was divided by a line of steel, barbed wire, and ideology, the Iron Curtain. It wasn't just a border, it was a wall of fear, separating families, dreams, and entire lives. But one woman dared to cross it. Her name has been erased from most records, her story nearly forgotten. But fragments remain, a report, a photograph, and whispers of a night when one woman defied an empire. Music rises, cold strings, distant echoes of searchlights and barking dogs fading out. Narrator. After the Second World War, Europe was no longer one continent. It was two worlds, divided not by oceans but by fear. A slow pan across a black and white map of Europe. Lines appear: Berlin, Prague, Warsaw, Budapest, each surrounded by barbed wire, towers and watchlights. Behind the curtain, the streets were quiet, too quiet. Newspapers praised the government. Radios spoke with one voice. Neighbours stopped trusting each other. Every conversation could be overheard. Every dream could be dangerous. Cut to archival footage. Grey apartment blocks, lines for bread, parades of soldiers. Narrator. To the outside world it looked orderly. A nation rebuilt from the ruins of war. But inside there was something else. Suspicion, obedience, control. And among millions living under that silence was her. Her name, as the files suggest, was Anna Kovacs, a 27-year-old mechanical engineer from Budapest, talented, quiet, and fiercely intelligent. She worked at a small aircraft factory, one of many secret facilities now under state control. Her designs caught attention. Her precision, her ideas, they stood out in a world where thinking differently was dangerous. Colleagues whispered that Anna had once dreamed of becoming a pilot. But after the war, women like her were not meant to dream. They were meant to obey. One day, a black car stopped outside the factory gates. Men stepped out. Long coats, dark hats, blank faces. They asked for her by name, and from that moment, Anna's quiet life was over. Narrator, pause. What began as a career in engineering was about to become a lesson in control, loyalty, and betrayal. Low-string music builds as the camera fades to a dim office. A file stamped "classified" slides across a desk. The sound of typewriters. Footsteps echo down a marble hallway. Narrator. Anna was taken to a government compound outside the city. Officially, a research centre for aeronautical innovation. Unofficially, it was something much more secret. In dim rooms lit by fluorescent lamps, engineers worked in silence. Blueprints of strange aircraft covered the tables, designs that looked years ahead of their time, jet prototypes, gliders without cockpits, and engines so small they seemed impossible. A man in uniform handed Anna a folder. Inside, a schematic. Her task was clear, but her purpose was not. Narrator. She was told she was serving her country, building machines for defence, but no one told her what they were really for. No one asked her what she believed in. Over the weeks, Anna noticed things that didn't fit. Projects that vanished overnight. Colleagues who stopped showing up. Their names quietly erased from attendance lists. One day she found a note on her desk. You think too much. Be careful. But curiosity was something she couldn't silence. And when she discovered the hangar beneath the compound, she realized the truth. There, behind heavy steel doors, stood a single experimental aircraft. Small, silent, unmarked. It was unlike anything she'd ever seen, designed for one pilot, capable of reaching speeds rumoured to match Western prototypes. Narrator. It was a weapon of propaganda, Proof that the regime could compete with the West, even surpass it. But it was built on lies, stolen technology, and fear. That night, Anna wrote her first secret note. A letter, not for the government, but for the outside world. She hid it inside a hollow panel in her desk beneath the blueprints. It was a simple message. They are building something that should not exist. If you find this, tell the world. The music fades to a single piano note. Narrator, quietly. But someone already knew she'd seen too much. The next morning, when Anna arrived at work, 2 men were waiting, and this time, there was no car ride back. A dimly lit interrogation room. A single bulb swings overhead. Anna sits motionless, pale, silent, her hands trembling against the cold steel table. Narrator. They called it an interview, but everyone knew what it really was. The secret police didn't shout. They didn't need to. Their calm was worse than anger, calculated, rehearsed, designed to break her slowly. The question started simply. Who are you working for? What have you told them? Where is the letter? Anna didn't answer. She couldn't. There was nothing to confess. Narrator. In the world behind the Iron Curtain, innocence didn't matter. Only loyalty did, and hers was now in question. Days blurred together. Sleep came in minutes. The bulb never turned off. She counted the seconds between footsteps in the hall. Sometimes, when the door opened, she wished they would simply end it. But one officer, a young man with a scar across his temple, hesitated one night. He placed a small cup of water in front of her, whispered just loud enough for her to hear, "They won't kill you. They'll make you disappear." That night she realized she was no longer Anna Kovacs' engineer. She was a number, a file in a drawer. The next morning she was taken to a transport truck with 6 other prisoners, all women. No one spoke. The truck drove through the rain for hours, past villages, fields, and finally into the forest. It stopped in front of a concrete wall topped with barbed wire. Guards opened the doors. One of them read from a list, monotone. Destination, Facility 27B. Narrator. She had been erased, sent to a camp that officially didn't exist, a place for traitors, spies, and those who had simply asked the wrong questions. As the gates closed behind her, Anna's reflection vanished in the truck's metal surface, like her identity itself. But in that moment of silence she made herself a promise. If they've taken my name, they won't take my voice. Fade out to dark violins and the echo of clanging gates. Wind howls across a desolate compound. Concrete walls, guard towers, and floodlights cutting through the darkness. Snow begins to fall again, soft but endless. Narrator. For most, Facility 27B was a place without exits. Those who entered were never meant to return, but Anna was not like most. In the camp she worked in the machine shop, repairing tools, filing metal, fixing locks. Each day she memorized the sounds of the guards' boots, the shift changes, the places where the light didn't reach. Every movement was a lesson in survival, every mistake a death sentence. Weeks turned into months. Then one day, while repairing a generator near the wall, she saw it, a drainage tunnel half frozen, leading out toward the river, small, narrow, but real. Narrator. It wasn't an escape route, it was a whisper of one. That night she traded a piece of bread for a broken spoon. She began digging, quietly, slowly. Every night after roll call she'd loosen a few more stones beneath the vent. Her hands were raw and bleeding, but she didn't stop. Then, an opportunity. A storm hit. Power flickered. Sirens wailed in confusion as lights went out across the compound. Anna crawled through the narrow opening, chest scraping against frozen concrete. Behind her, alarms blared. Ahead, nothing but the dark forest and the sound of rushing water. She ran, through trees, through snow, through the cold that cut like knives. Dogs barked in the distance, their echoes bouncing through the woods. At the edge of the forest, the river, wide, half-frozen, black as oil. She hesitated for just a moment, then stepped in. Narrator, voice soft but urgent. She didn't swim, she fought. Every stroke pulled her closer to freedom, or to death. A spotlight crossed the riverbank. A single gunshot cracked the night. But by the time guards reached the edge, there was nothing. Only the current and silence. Morning came. On the western side of the border, a farmer found torn pieces of a prisoner's coat tangled in the reeds and a single metal tag marked 27B. No body was ever found. Narrator. Some said she drowned, others swore she made it, that she was seen months later in Vienna working under a different name. The camera fades to black and white photographs of unknown women, faces lost to time, narrator quietly. But one thing was certain. For one night, she became what millions behind the curtain could only dream of being: free. Music swells, slow piano fading to silence. A train station in West Berlin, 1953. Steam rises from the platforms. Crowds hurry past, carrying luggage, newspapers and secrets. In the corner a woman sits alone, wrapped in a worn coat, her hair cut short. Her eyes dart to every sound. It's her, Anna. Narrator. After weeks of silence, a woman matching her description appeared on the western side of the border. She said little, she carried nothing, no identification, no papers, no past. Western intelligence officers took her in for questioning. At first they thought she was a defector, a miracle survivor of an escape no one believed possible. But as they questioned her, doubts began to grow. Her accent, slightly off. Her answers, too careful. Her story, missing pieces. One officer noted, "If she's telling the truth, she's the bravest woman I've ever met. If she's lying, she's the most dangerous." Narrator. In the West, freedom came with another kind of prison, one made of suspicion. For months, Anna lived under observation. She was given a new name, a small apartment, a ration card. But she never quite fit in. Neighbours said she stayed up at night staring out the window. Sometimes she'd whisper in Hungarian, other times in German, to no one. And then, one day, she vanished again. Her apartment was found locked from the inside, a teacup half full, a small notebook on the table, filled with sketches of engines, wings, and a river. Narrator. Some claimed she was taken by intelligence agents. Others said she returned east, willingly. The truth remains buried in classified archives. In 1991, when the Soviet files began to open, one folder caught historians' attention. A report from Facility 27B. Inside, a single page stamped recovered, a photo of a young woman standing beside a prototype aircraft. No name, no date. Below it, a handwritten note. She made it. Music builds softly, mournful, distant, as the image fades. Narrator. Perhaps she did. Perhaps freedom for her was not a place, but a moment. One night, one river, one decision that echoed across decades. Fade to black, black screen. The faint sound of wind, then typewriter keys. Letters appear one by one. Declassified, 1994. Narrator, quietly. Decades after her disappearance, historians and journalists tried to find the truth about the woman who escaped the Iron Curtain. Archival footage rolls, border fences being torn down, crowds celebrating, families reuniting in Berlin. Narrator. The world had changed, the walls fell, the secrets came out, but her story remained in the shadows, half memory, half myth. An old historian speaks over grainy footage. We found no record of her death, only fragments. A photograph in Vienna, a letter from Prague, a mention in an agent's notebook, the girl who crossed the river. Fade to a slow pan over her last known photograph, blurred, slightly smiling, eyes that seem to know more than they should. Narrator. Was she a spy, a survivor, a symbol of resistance? No one can say for certain, but her defiance, her will to run, to fight, to cross, became something larger than one woman's story. Soft piano music begins, haunting, hopeful. Narrator, final words. In every generation there are those who refuse to live behind walls, who risk everything for a glimpse of freedom. She was one of them, and though her name may be lost, her courage never was. The screen fades to white. A river glimmers under the sunlight. End title appears, The Woman Who Escaped the Iron Curtain. Music lingers, then fades to silence.